It's Ron Reader digs the universe. I'm Ron Reader, and this is Ron Reader Digs the Universe. And tonight I'm going to be talking about an idea that I have called Schrodinger's America. But first I got to tell you about my cat. I just spent the last week or so mourning him. Frankie, old kitty, 16. His brother died last year of natural causes, and I'd been letting Frankie live outside, something I'd never done in his 16 years, but he'd always wanted to do. Hospice care, I called it. Let him do anything he wants because, maybe he doesn't have much time left. He'd been kind of feeble lately, but like I said, old. Then, one day during a storm, Frankie disappeared, and he didn't come back. I looked all around, nothing, calling his name, Frankie, Frankie, Frankie. I waited 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. I looked and looked. Old kitty, I thought. This is it. I cried and grieved, and after a week or so was starting to accept it, cycle of life. I knew I was in for this a decade and a half ago when I adopted him back in Baton Rouge and I was going to grad school, or rather, when he adopted me. Anyway, he came back yesterday afternoon. Skinny, scabby, a little out of it, but very much a player in this material plane. 9 lives indeed. Took me a couple of hours to shift emotional gears. My cat is not dead. He's right there on the couch. I am really happy he is still alive, but the little fucker. At the very least, though, his Lazarus maneuver gave me a really good way to illustrate the overwhelming surrealism of American life at this moment, Schrodinger's America. But in order to explain that idea, I need to talk a little bit about my overwhelming surrealistic American life. I come out of the white bourgeois well-to-do suburbs. Kingwood, Texas. Suburban values were deeply instilled in me, material success, college, white-collar professional career, a big car, a hot wife, going to church, fashionable clothes, deep identification with the establishment institutions of America, a sense that America exists for me, and so on. And I think that's what a lot of people in this country think is normal. I certainly thought it was normal. But then I had to go and decide that I loved acting so much, that I went and studied it and devoted my life to it and to the arts more generally. And that's probably the point at which normal started to become very problematic for me. Jumping into the world of the theater as I did was wonderful. I was exposed to an entirely new set of values: exploration, empathy, self-awareness, the sense of life as journey, dedication to understanding human nature, continual search for truth. And for a time, I tried to embrace both my suburban normal values and my new artistic values. And let me tell you, it was an uneasy union. Uneasy because it became rapidly clear to me that the two sets of values are ultimately incompatible. Normal, the suburban bourgeois worldview, is materialistic. Normal simply doesn't give a shit about art or what artists are trying to accomplish. My politics started drifting necessarily leftward, and I ultimately ended up questioning my place and role in society. Along the way, I read some Jack Kerouac, some Chomsky, the autobiography of Malcolm X, Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States, and it turned out that I wasn't really the one with the problem. American normal is totally fucked up. And back in the 90s, when I was first starting to get my arms around this, it seemed like I was one of the few Americans, white Americans anyway, who understood just how fucked up this country is. Thus began my alienation. I taught high school theater for 6 years, but I was miserable the whole time. I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever I was doing personally as a teacher, I was contributing to the cultural maintenance of American normal. And I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to do that, so I quit and went back to the theater. I went to grad school and studied acting, which was totally awesome. Just immersing myself in my craft and my art for 3 frenzied, hard-working years. You know, but after that, when I started chasing professional film and television roles in New Orleans, I discovered my heart just wasn't in it. I mean, I'm not acting. I'm love acting, you know, in the arts. I mean, being a professional actor. The mass media are the biggest disseminators of American normal in the whole frickin' country. And when I was, you know, chasing the dream there, I felt like everybody was just sort of cynically spinning their wheels, churning out product, making a buck, which in fact they were and still are. I've been happy waiting tables for some years now. Honest work, and it doesn't require my lip service to anything. You know, I don't have to alter my ideas and views and understanding of the world in order to be a waiter. Just do the job and go home. Freedom. But I definitely feel like a social dropout. I feel like I'm not normal. Flash forward to today, the COVID days, the age of street protests, the Trump era. The man behind the curtain, and I don't simply mean Trump, has been revealed to be not the great and mighty Oz, but rather a pathetic, lying fraudster. And I am once again questioning my place and role in society. I have rejected the American normal with which I was raised, but I'm not sure what that American normal is now. Virtually every problem I've ever had with this country is being addressed on the big stage by powerful voices. I'm not sure what America is at the moment. You know, maybe I'll get to be normal again because maybe a new normal will be a lot closer to the person that I am. Maybe the Nazis will shut all this shit down, guns blazing. I just don't know. We just don't know. And that brings me back to my recently resurrected cat. In those few hours after his return, I kept having moments when I would forget that he was alive. I would have to remind myself that he didn't actually die. And then I would run over to the couch where he was sleeping comfortably and kiss him on the head. I swear to God, it was like Schrodinger's cat, who is both alive and dead until you look at him. Pretty surreal being stuck in a perceptual zone where your cat is both alive and dead. And like I said, a little fucker. But I think that's essentially where the country is at this moment. Schrodinger's America. It is both the self-involved, materialistic, suburban, bourgeois normal and an exciting, compassionate, progressive, new normal all at the same time. None of us knows how this all ends. The pandemic, the social justice movement, the economic establishment that expects us to die for its wealth, the lies and illusions, the revelations and truths. At the moment, we're living simultaneously in two realities. All of us. Schrodinger's America. It's frightening and exciting, and by damn, it's weird. I'm Ron Reader, and this has been Ron Reader Digs the Universe. Join me, Ron Reader, again next week for another episode of Ron Reader Digs the Universe. It's Ron Reader Digs the Universe.